out. Check him out. It's Chet. What's up, y'all? It's your boy. Like I said, it's Chet. Tredamus here with another Grand Slam epic video here for you today. And since the NBA Finals have ended, all everybody wants to talk about at the current moment are who's in the top 10 greatest players of all time. Is Steph Curry in it? What's the list? So I know y'all are dying to hear my take on this situation. And anybody that knows me knows my fanship. I have been, like I said, I watched LeBron James on ESPN, his junior and high school basketball games live on ESPN when I was in like the 8th grade, right? So naturally, I grew up a LeBron fan. I've argued. But you want to, but what the top 10 is really, LeBron and MJ are both in it, right? So to me, it was super duper easy. I see all these clowns say, one dude said Larry Bird gets kicked out. To me, I don't know how you could possibly do that. People are leaving the bigs from way back in the day out of the list. If you want to make just a modern era list, then yeah, that's the list that you make. But if we are talking about all the basketball since the beginning of the NBA and the ABA and, way back when, if you go all the basketball since basketball was invented, you have to include all the eras. You have to go to the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 00s, the 10s, the current. You have to go to every single era of basketball or you ain't talking about of all time. If you want to talk about the modern era, if you want to talk since the three-point line was invented, if you want to talk since Magic and the Showtime Lakers, then we could talk about a different list, bruh. But if we're talking about the greatest NBA players of all time, the top 10 ever to play the game of basketball, the list is super duper easy to make. It took me super easy. Here's my criteria, right? Because basketball to me is much more of an individual type, individual awards type thing. So the more championships, the more individual awards, Defensive Player of the Year, MVP, Finals MVP, the more accolades that you have, the more impressive it is, and you need that, right? Because there's only 5 guys on the court at a time. It's not like football where there's 11 guys on the field at each time, and then you're not out there when you're playing defense or special teams. You need field goal kickers and all kinds of other stuff. Baseball, outfield, infield, catcher, pitching, right? There's so much that goes into it, and then there's hockey and soccer, and then you want to get into the actual individual sports, golf and tennis, where those are actual individual things. But if you're looking at a team sport that is more individual related, right? With a great basketball player, you can put the team on your back more often than you can in football. Football, you still need an offensive line. Tom Brady needs that line to block for him. He needs Randy Moss to catch that ball. He needs somebody to run the ball. He needs Coach Belichick or all the weapons that he has in Tampa Bay, right? You need all of that in order to succeed in those team sports, where in basketball, you can do a lot more just by yourself. So I looked at those, and really the top 8 is undisputable to me, right? Of course, number 1 is always Michael Jordan. I have been the one that would argue LeBron James blue in the face till the end against anybody. All I ever wanted anybody to recognize was that he was the only one that was in that conversation. And I feel like finally everybody admits that over longevity. He's going to pass Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in all-time points this year, right? He's got 4 championships. He's got 4 MVPs, 4 finals MVPs. You could have given him an MVP so many other times. But really, he and MJ are uncomparable, right? Different eras. You could actually play defense right there. Ask Jordan about the bad boy Pistons and some of the teams that he played in the soft era that LeBron plays in this crybaby basketball, and you hit me in the face and I want to fake fight you, and all that. It's a different era, and it's all good. All I ever wanted everybody to admit is that LeBron was the only one in that conversation, and I think everybody now admits that, but they play 2 different things. MJ looked to shoot. LeBron is a distributor, right? What everybody get on Kobe Bryant all them years is that he won't pass the ball. He doesn't pass the ball, won't pass the ball, won't pass the ball because he's not a passer. He's a scorer. He's drive to the hole and score. Then he can also pass, but he will look to score. LeBron looks to distribute. And sometimes you got to take it to the rack and you got to take that shot, which LeBron did. I never understood the you're not clutch. I remember the offhand shot against the Hawks in the Eastern Conference Finals that he made in 2018 at the buzzer. The three-pointer from the corner against the Bulls to tie the series 2-2. You know, his first year back in Cleveland. The Game 7 against the San Antonio Spurs when they won back-to-back titles with the Heat. He took over that game, bruh, against the Spurs. The only team that ever beat the Spurs in the finals are that Heat team, led by LeBron James. That's all I ever wanted was everybody to acknowledge that. But now that finally everybody does. But if your life was on the line with one person to win a game or make a basket for you with your life on the line, who you picking? You're always picking Michael Jordan. Like, Michael Jordan, it will probably never be touched, right? 6-0 in the finals just sounds super sexy, right? He dominated the whole era, right? It was in the 90s when we didn't have a million things to watch, right? There wasn't Hulu and Netflix and Pureflix and Peacock and Paramount and HBO Max and the 900 channels on cable, right? There wasn't that. We all had basic cable with your basic few things. You had Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon if you were a kid, right? And then you had Braves on TBS to watch the baseball, and then you had Michael Jordan and the Bulls. He was in the movie. You bought Hanes because Michael Jordan was wearing Hanes. You ate McDonald's because Michael Jordan was promoting it. Michael Jordan became a pop icon for everybody, and then he wins 3 in a row and leaves the middle of his prime and goes and plays another sport, which makes you love him more because he's doing it for his dad who got murdered, right? You root for him more, and then the success story, you come back and you win 3 more titles before you retire again, right? It's unbelievable. But what I always wanted to ask, the main thing against LeBron is, everybody would always say, what if MJ, he came back, right? Before he won those next 3 titles, he came back and he played the Magic. He finished that season, and then they lost to the Magic in the Eastern Conference Finals. What if the Bulls had beaten the Magic, Shaq and Penny and all those guys had beaten them and went to the finals and lost to Olajuwon and the Rockets? What if he's 6-1 in the finals? Do we look at him differently? Maybe. You know, that's all I ever want to say. Because LeBron is 4-6 in the finals, because everybody remembers him losing so many times because he was always there. But Jordan played more than just those 6 years. That was always my point. Jordan played more than 6 years in basketball. Played like 15-some and made it to 6 championships. It's unbelievable. But I digress. That's not what this video is supposed to be about. But I'm saying that 6-0 is super sexy, right? You got the 6 championships. The same amount of finals MVPs, multiple. To me, the list, you got to have some finals MVPs, some championships, and some league MVPs, some finals MVPs. Like I said, the championships and stuff mean more in basketball. That's why Barkley never gets mentioned, because Charles Barkley was the man, but he got no ring. Everybody holds that against you. Anyway, I digressed with a mini little LeBron Jordan debate, but I can tell you, because we only had so much to watch in the 90s. Everybody watched MJ win all those titles. He was in Space Jam and appealed to the kids, the Hanes, and the McDonald's, and all the commercials he did, right? It's different than nowadays. Everybody watched everybody watched LeBron lose 6 times in the championship, right? It's a different era. It's a different era. The impact of the Air Jordan and that jump man, that will never, his stamp on basketball is more important than anybody else's. That's why nobody can ever be better than MJ, I don't think. I don't think anybody will ever go 6-0 in the finals again. I don't think anybody will have the pop culture icon celebrity status that Michael Jordan established in the 90s, because it's different now. So many people are watching so many different things. There's so many things to choose from. There's so many options. There's so many more sports, right? We keep getting a new football league every year. XFL, USFL, competing with the NFL, CFL, Arena League, right? There's so many things. There's so many networks, so many eyes on them, so many different things. Some people watch Stranger Things. Some people watch Hulu. Some people don't watch any of it. There's Christians that only watch the Pure Flakes. There's some, right? Your eyes are everywhere. In the 90s, it was only on MJ, and that's the difference. I just want everybody to admit LeBron was the only one in that conversation, and I feel like everybody has done that now. So I can admit to you in front of friends and family. I know everybody's waited so long for Chet to say this. MJ's the greatest player of all time. Forget the numbers or whatever, just what's your gut tell you. If you want, your life is on the line, one shot to be made. Of course you want MJ taking that shot because he always made it. And yes, he did need Pippen and Kukoc and Steve Kerr and Dennis Rodman and all those players. That's super important. But everybody needs it. LeBron needed Kyrie and Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh and Anthony Davis. He needed those to win 4 rings. But anyways, I digress. I hear everybody talking about the top 10 ever since Curry won his 4th ring. Is Curry in? There's Curry in. Is Curry in? Is Curry in? So I've heard this across all types of platforms, and really the top 8 to me is non-negotiable. If you know anything about basketball, about sports, you know what the top 8 is, right? In no order, this is no order, the top 8. Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Magic Johnson, Wilt Chamberlain, Kobe Bryant, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Bill Russell, and Larry Bird, right? There's no argument with those 8. Right? Because like I said, you have to acknowledge every era of basketball. Right? You go back to the beginning. Bill Russell, 11 championships. Literally dominated the league forever. And who else was there? Wilt, 100 points in the game. He won 2 titles. Right? You can't say Wilt without Russell. Right? You had both. You have to put them both because the 50s and 60s still counted. Right? So that's why you got Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell, because their stamp is still relevant today. Right? And then you go to the 70s. You have to talk about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and the Lakers, right? He took over. Kareem is Kareem. You know, just what? And then after that, you got Magic and Larry Bird, right? Just took over the league. 70s, 60s, right? We're covering all the eras. That's where you put them in. 90s is all Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan took over the 90s. The 00s was Kobe, right? 3-peat. You win it in 2000 and 01 and 02. And then you show up 2 more times between there, and then you win again in 09 and 10. That's a decade of dominance where Kobe Bryant is the main attraction. And then the 10s is LeBron James. Whatever you want to say about LeBron James, right? He went to 10 finals, he went to 8 in a row, and he went to 9 out of 10. And won 4 championships in there with 3 different teams. That's LeBron. Either LeBron was denying somebody a ring or he was forcing himself into it, right? There's no argument. You carry that 07 team to the final, and then after that, you lose to Dallas, and then you destroy OKC. You win the great series with the Spurs. You lose the rubber match with the Spurs. First year back in Cleveland, you start the greatest rivalry in sports history, which is Cavs-Warriors, because no one will ever meet 4 years in a row again. Not in the modern era. And not going to happen in any sport. That is so rare. And LeBron James and Steph Curry put on the greatest rivalry in the history of sports. And LeBron got one, and he may have gotten more if they don't build a super team and put Kevin Durant on there and Kyrie doesn't quit in the middle and go to Boston. They probably split 2-2. They probably win that last one if you got Kyrie. And if you don't add Durant, you for sure split. If the roster stayed the same and you don't add Kevin Durant and Kyrie don't leave, I think they split 2-2. But anyways, I digress. And then you leave there and you go to the Lakers. On your second year, you win the title in the bubble. Like, to me, that's what it is. Those guys defined eras, right? You start off with Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell, and then you bring in Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and then you got Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, and then you got Kobe Bryant. Before that, you had Michael Jordan, then Kobe Bryant, then LeBron James. That's your top 8. Because, like I said, that crosses all basketball. Anybody that's picking anything other than that are a bunch of youngsters that are just watching TV. They're the only ones that, right? I was brought aware of this poll that said, who's the greatest center of all time? I had Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Shaq on there. And Shaq ran away with it. And I told my buddy, I said, out of those 4, Shaq's the only one that's not in my top 10 of all time. Shaq is more well known today than those guys by the youngsters who watch TV because they don't do their history. But for history buffs like I that look at all basketball and see, oh, Bill Russell won 11 championships. You can't deny that. Wilt Chamberlain scored 100 points, and what part of that is just he only won 2 because Bill Russell won freaking 11. Right? And then Kareem just took over Skyhook, whether he was on the Bucks when he was Lou Alcindor, and then he changed his name. He took over the league. It was all about them. And then Magic comes out. Showtime Lakers, Larry and Magic and Bird one-on-one. And then Jordan takes over the Kobe Bryant. Right? So to me, the top 8 is non-negotiable. And it's after that you start getting some debate. And number 9, the only guy that doesn't meet the requirement, right? You look at MJ. He's got all those finals appearances, multiple MVPs. LeBron with the same thing. He got 4 MVPs, 4 rings, 4 finals MVPs. Magic's got multiples of all. Wilt, Kobe's got 1 league MVP, but 5 championships, 3 finals MVP. Kareem's got MVPs and stuff galore. Russell the same. Larry Bird also. All those guys meet the standard at MVPs and championships. The only one that doesn't meet that I put in this list is Allen Iverson. Because Allen Iverson was that important to basketball to stretch across and bring things in. AI was so good. It's just none of his teams were very good. He gets to 1 final, and you beat them Lakers in game 1s, and that's as close as you ever got. A 1-0 lead on the Lakers before you lost 4 straight. But AI was so awesome. I put Iverson. He's got a league MVP, but he's got no championships, and he's got no finals MVPs, obviously, because he didn't win one. He's got a league MVP, because that's how good he was. I put Iverson in there because, to me, Iverson's as important to the league and is as good as anybody. And then after that, you put him on that Nuggets team with Melo and all those guys to get to the conference final, and it's 2-2 with the Lakers, and then you lose 2 in a row, and he never got as close again. But Iverson is the only one that doesn't meet all those check boxes that I put in there. And then after that, 10 comes down, and I always like to mention Kevin Garnett, because before Team LeBron, I was Team KG. But KG doesn't quite make it, but I love to throw the name out there, honorable mention. And really 10 comes down to Steph Curry or Tim Duncan. And if I'm sticking to my thing, I would kick Iverson out and put Steph and Duncan in there, but I'm not. So Duncan was the most boring player ever to watch. I respect what he did with 5 championships in 99, 03, 05, 07, and 14. Like, it's unbelievable, but I'm not going to put you in, even though he probably should be. And I put Steph at 10 because Steph has revolutionized the game with the shooting. You shot from the logo before, you shoot those deep threes, you getting benched, bro. Like, you didn't do that. It was dominated by the bigs. Like, listen, Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, right? Bird and Magic even had some bigness to him. Jordan, it wasn't about shooting the threes, and Kobe and LeBron can shoot the threes, but that wasn't their game. Steph has changed the game. Everybody's trying to shoot from the logo now. You look at Dame Lillard, what's he do? He mimics that. Steph has changed the game. The way that we look at the game, the way that you draft, the way that you scout, Steph has changed the way that you train as a kid. Now it's all about the long ball. Before it was about the big boy, right? Steph has revolutionized the game. So you have to put in Steph. So my top 10 is Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Magic Johnson, Wilt Chamberlain, Kobe Bryant, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Bill Russell, Larry Bird, Allen Iverson, and Steph Curry, with honorable mentions Tim Duncan and Kevin Garnett. Tell me I'm wrong. You can't, because you know that I'm right. Chet, I went off on some spews there, but ultimately it's about the top 10 list. There you go. That's my list. I'm sticking to it. That's what you get here with Chet here once again. Holla at your boy. Praise Jesus. Amen. Hallelujah. Y'all know I like to throw that in there. I'm wearing this wristband that is Romans 12:2. Let me read it to you. Do not be conformed to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may prove what is the good, pleasing, and perfect will of God. That's the verse. Hallelujah, praise Jesus. Y'all know who I'm here to serve. I'm here to serve Jesus, but here to entertain y'all with my useless sports knowledge. So that's my top 10 NBA players of all time. Tell me I'm wrong. You can't, because you know that I'm right. Holla. Peace.